Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. Today we dive into Wendy's villain era as we take a look at Wish You Hell. This is a track that tells the story of Wendy saying goodbye to her past persona and embracing a new side of herself that we never seen before. Sick and tired of being depicted as a lovable and kind girl that does everything she's told and never gets mad, the song marks the beginning of a new stage of her career. The past Wendy was a perfect idol, a girl trapped in a doll that could only smile, but the new Wendy is done playing nice. After finding her true self, now Wendy wants to be free and do whatever she wants, but the only way for her to do so is to take over and let her past self die. In the video she happily does so, and at the very beginning this dark transformation is foreshadowed by a swarm of black butterflies announcing her arrival. When she gets to the funeral, she not only celebrates the death of her past self, but in the process of taking over she also wishes her hell. This is because this new and rebellious version of Wendy is the result of the hell that she went through in the past, so for this Wendy to exist, the past Wendy must go through hell and back. In the video this concept is actually portrayed with a full-on trip to the underworld which begins from hell, continues in Purgatory, and ends with Wendy heading to paradise. This is a concept seemingly inspired by Dante's Divine Comedy, but with its own twist to it. The Divine Comedy was a 3-book-long poem about a man going through hell, purgatory, and paradise to then go back to earth and tell the tale. Wendy's video is not that intense, but it is an inner journey that shows her growth through pain. In Wish You Hell, this journey has a cyclical structure, with present Wendy dragging past Wendy to hell for this future to actually come true. In doing so, she also leaves her baggage behind, literally. She's letting go of the past, so what has been weighing her down up until now is no longer her business. Her baggage is for her past self to deal with, and this process begins in hell, which is obviously the lowest of the low. Now, at the beginning of this journey, old Wendy seems to try and ignore the fact that she's in hell. She makes a house of cards she plays with a ball, but in the back we see an entity that is faceless and bound, and the ball that she's playing with suddenly starts growing spikes and taking up space. The only way for her to get out of that hell is to face the problem and confront herself. In this context, the entity in the background can almost be seen as a representation of Wendy herself, if you will. In the lyrics, she says that in the past she was trapped in a doll that could only smile, and now you have this mannequin who is trapped, on which she paints a smiley face that drips into creating a tear. That's her, or at the very least how she felt at some point in her life. Since she's the one painting the smile, there is also an implication that she's the one that chose that life. As the lyrics say, back then she chose that bitter pill with no regrets, but in contrast, now she chooses the person that she always wanted to be. Having this confrontation allows her to move on to the next realm, which is Purgatory. As the butterflies imply, now the transformation is in full effect, and this makes a lot of sense. Purgatory is the realm one gets sent to transform. It's where people purify themselves to get ready for heaven, and this process usually involves a temporary punishment and a whole lot of coming to terms with their own faults and traumas. Fittingly enough, Wendy opens up her baggage at this point, and the first thing that she pulls out is a mirror shaped like a scythe. Traditionally, the scythe is the weapon of the Grim Reaper, so it's a symbol of death, but in this case, death represents transformation and rebirth. Only by allowing the old self to die, the new self can be born, so as she confronts herself on the verge of this transformation, Wendy actually wishes herself all the best. This scene very much foreshadows that this rebirth is the best thing that could ever happen to her, and fittingly enough, it's at this point that Wendy is seen celebrating a birthday. In Purgatory, Wendy experiences a rebirth, literally, and on top of the cake we see a tarot card that we also saw in the suitcase. This card is called the Wheel of Fortune, and it symbolizes the idea that what goes around comes around. It's a symbol of karma, life cycles, turning points, so it basically represents all the central themes of the comeback as a whole. Now, at this point you would think that Wendy is almost ready for paradise. She confronted herself, achieved a transformation, celebrated a new self, and yet it's at this point that she decides to rebel and take a different route. Instead of choosing the path that people want her to take, she decides for herself, so she destroys the cake and makes a mess. When she moves on, she ends up in a gym where a party has seemingly just taken place. Now, this is my favorite scene here, because unless you pay attention, you completely miss the point. If we take a look at the back, we discover that the party Wendy just missed was a graduation, but not a regular one. This was an event for people to graduate from Purgatory to Paradise, which is something that we discover when Wendy sees a bottle on the floor. The label literally says, "Drink a bottle to heaven," meaning that all of those graduating from Purgatory drank the bottle and eventually moved up to Paradise. Wendy, however, missed the celebration, so even if she picks up a bottle and tries to drink it, no more liquid is left for her to go to Paradise. At this point, we also see that the only person left is this dude, and his uniform reads Hades Bubble Day. In Greek mythology, Hades was the god of the underworld, but also the name of the underworld itself. This man is quite literally the janitor of the afterlife, a member of the cleaning crew of the underworld who is cleaning up the mess that Purgatory graduates left after moving upstairs. He seems a bit confused by Wendy's presence, but Wendy doesn't care. She doesn't need Paradise to be happy. Now she's free to be herself, and this arguably connects us right back to the very beginning. If you look closely, Wendy's outfit gradually becomes darker and edgier throughout her journey, so who knows, maybe the Wendy that we live dancing in the gym will soon head to the church to drag her past self back to hell. For now, this is all I have for you today, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you have any theories about this comeback, and did you enjoy the album? Let me know, and if you enjoyed this video, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.